Good afternoon, NASCIO. Please welcome back to the stage, Stephanie Dedman.
Good afternoon. I hope your day is going well and you are enjoying the sessions. I think they've been great and informative and well attended. I have a few housekeeping notes before we get into this afternoon's session. As I mentioned earlier this morning, this venue was selected in 2020, or we were going to be here in 2020. NASCIO is very fortunate to have not only survived during the pandemic, but quite obviously we've thrived. And I talked about the record growth, and we've grown drastically and have a record crowd this year. We do recognize that the breakout rooms have been quite crowded. There's no way we could have anticipated the growth, but we appreciate your patience and just ask you to respect each other on those crowds and manipulating through that. So thank you. For those of you who are attending the premiere reception this evening, please begin meeting at the Grant Street Hotel entrance at 5:30. Outside these doors, you turn to the right. Is that right? This is my right. Turn to the right and head toward the parking garage rather than the lobby, and that's where you'll find the Grant Street entrance. Sponsors will need to check in, and everyone must use NASCIO provided transportation. You'll see the NASCIO team set up there to assist in getting you on the buses. Okay, each year the NASCIO president gets to select a topic or an area of interest on which to focus for the year. After some gentle nudging from Doug to make my decision after about 2 or 3 months, I selected the role of the state CIO in improving the citizen experience. Part of this project was to see how far we have come since 2001, when NASCIO first released a guide to states on digital government. I'm pleased to present our findings, and I have a couple of my colleagues who are going to join me on a panel to discuss the research project and what some of our states are doing. So please help me welcome to the stage Katrina Flory, CIO from Ohio, and Alan Fuller, CIO from Utah.
Sure. Thanks, Stephanie. So definitely, these resonate well with what we're doing in Ohio. Better online experience for citizens is significant. This administration came in, Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted, and that was a major focus for them. We had started down the path on our Innovate Ohio platform, and they accelerated that tremendously. The governor got behind us, issued an executive order, and we actually went out and he had a cabinet meeting at our data center. We had all the cabinet directors in, we had their chief counsels in, we had their CIOs in to talk about their expectation for the experience of our Ohioans, what they wanted to see. Lieutenant Governor Husted is not shy about saying he doesn't want anyone to have to go into a government office if they don't want to. But if they are going to, we want to make that a good experience as well. So a lot of things we're focused on our Bureau of Motor Vehicles, as I'm sure is a consistent experience for everyone. There's some challenges there. So making sure that you can go online and create your OHID and have a secure experience renewing your plates. Or if you choose to go into the BMV, you can get online and get in line and make your appointment to get there. And I did this with my son when he was getting his driver's license, and we get to the BMV and we went to the head of the line and people looked furious. And I was like, I had my phone out, I'm like, just get in line online. And they're like, what? And so, we've come a long way in that space, and our Innovate Ohio platform is certainly accelerating it.
Yeah, these reasons are exactly what we're doing. We're really focused on trying to provide our citizens a better experience. And so we have a fairly mature digital government experience with over 1,800 services online. But the problem is they're all over the map, and they're difficult to find, and they're done differently by different agencies or departments. And so what we're really focused on is trying to put together a portal that will provide a personalized experience to our residents. So when they log in and they're authenticated, and it's a high quality authentication and multi-factor, once we know who they are, we should be able to bring the data to them. So Alan Fuller, here are your vehicles and when the registration is due. Here's your driver's license when it's due. Here's your fishing license, your hunting license, your beekeeper's license, your professional licenses, and any other state service we want to bring to you in your portal based on your preferences. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with our Citizen Portal project. It's early days. We've got a long way to go on it, but we did get support from both our governor's office and our legislature to fund that. And so that's kind of the big picture. Let me focus in on a quick story to kind of highlight digital delivery of government services. A lot of people love to come to Utah to hunt elk. It's kind of a big deal for us. And so we had an online, elk hunting requires a permit. We had an online offering for elk hunting. We had 15,000 people come through in the first hour to get their permit. And the scale and the ability to manage that whole thing online just kind of demonstrates the power of a better citizen experience than we used to have. Over $1 million worth of permits in the first day. So. I have another story involving liquor if you'd like. I don't know if we have any Pappy Van Winkle fans out there. I don't drink myself, but I have come to know that this liquor sells for much higher than the standard retail price. We in Utah are an alcohol control state. So we have a Department of Alcohol Beverage Services, and what they do, you can't call it a lottery. It's a high value product drawing, but because they just do it the markup. So we had thousands of people put in for liquor, Pappy Van Winkle and other brands that are restricted, and it's all done digitally and electronically, very efficiently, hopefully a little bit fun, and it's just another specific example of how delivering a digital government services can really improve our customer service.
Yeah, you can. We can relate with that one. Yeah. Okay.
Another question that was asked in the CIO survey is, what major challenges do you face in meeting demand for digital services? And you can see the breakdown here. First being challenge, and then lack of organizational agility and flexibility. Well, we are in Tennessee. We're, I think, very early in a digital strategy. We're definitely delivering services that we're trying to different forward. And we put together a digital strategy and are starting to talk about our vision and really the strategy with the administration. In very early stages, but some of the concerns have just been that we're big brotherish and data privacy and protection of data, which is interesting. We have a responsibility to protect the data, if it's in 20 databases or one database. But at any rate, it's been an interesting conversation, and I look forward to hopefully pushing that into the forum. Anything on this list that is different for you guys in Ohio in terms of challenges?
So I would say while we're striving to provide those digital services, we do have a concern, mostly, from the business side as well as from the IT side, that we're able to provide those services how our citizens want to receive them. So not everybody wants to go online, right? So how do we make sure that they have those other options, those outlets, whether it's to be able to call in or go into an office or some other approach? We've got to meet everyone where they are, right? And then I think also on the funding side, where I was able to, and we've been able to get capital funding to build out our platform, that not all the agencies have been able to obtain funding to do what's necessary to integrate with our platform. So we have, of course, have and have not agencies. The liquor folks have money. Not everybody has the funding. So how to kind of bridge some of those gaps and make sure we're bringing everybody along.
I think, totally agree. If you just scratch the surface on digital delivery of government services, you run into the problem of identity. And yeah. I think Ohio's done really well with that. We're getting there with our Utah ID, but we're not all the way there where we need to be. And behind that, it was funny when we first started talking about a citizen portal. I got an urgent call from the state library. And I was like, they said, we've got to be part of this. And I was like, okay. Why?
Right.
And they're like, well, we got some really specific requirements around interlibrary loans. You got to take care of that. And I was like, wait a minute. The portal is not going to do interlibrary loans for you, right? There's going to be an underlying system that does your interlibrary loans, that does your driver's license renewal, that does all these various things. But the portal is going to integrate with those things via APIs. And so the technology to do integration services between the portal and the underlying applications becomes absolutely key. And the other key to make this work is what we call Enterprise Master Person Index, right? Because today each of these systems, we're not as set up as Ohio yet, each of these systems has a different directories, different ID for a person all the way down. So when we log someone in at the portal, we have to tie that person to the underlying applications. And those technical challenges are real, and they're going to be difficult for us. And I would say the other challenge that we really face that's hard is, and I'm fairly new to state government, but when I came to state government, I quickly saw that every agency sees themselves as their own independent business. They've got their CIO, who's their executive director, they're funded separately, they have their mission, and they are focused on going that way. And when we really look at Portal, what we're trying to do is this no wrong door concept and build synergy between these different services. And sometimes, a lot of our agencies get it, but some are kind of like, yeah, why do I really care about the portal when I'm focusing on my specific things? And so those types of prioritization, I think, are reflected here on some of these points.
One question I have for you, did you engage citizens at the beginning, or we're all continuing on this journey, but did you do focus groups, did you bring in citizens to get their input into how they want to be served and what they're looking for in an online experience? I'll start with you.
Oh, okay. So we have a big project in parallel going on with our citizen portal, and that is we're doing a customer experience. And basically the customer experience, the large view of customer experience is it's a governor's office initiative. We want every agency in the state to improve their experience for their customers. And to do that, to help enable that, we wanted to move to a modern data-driven approach for capturing feedback and customer service. So that's really where we tried to reach out through our customer experience project and get feedback on all the services that we currently have, both online and offline, and how we can improve those. In terms of bringing in focus groups specifically for the Citizen Portal, we haven't done too much of that. We hope to do probably more of that in the future.
Yeah, so as we work with agencies to integrate with our Innovate Ohio platform, whether that's an application integration with OHID or a new public-facing website, we have those design conversations with them. We talk a lot about the customer journey and making sure that they understand. We take all those things into consideration and work through that. And also we have a significant focus on the whole change management aspect. So organizational change management, how are we going to, explain the change either to, your employees, that individual agency that's using it, and then your customers that are coming in. So we focus on both of those things. We have done some individual focus groups or surveys to get feedback. Specifically on our Ohio benefits program. We've done that and gone out and met with the county caseworkers to find out, how they're using the system and, what could benefit them. Also with Ohioans who are actually using the system to obtain their benefits, to get feedback on our self-service portal and those type of things so that we can enhance some of those services.
I love how you talked about the customer journey. That's something we're trying to map out as well. And when you think about the Citizen Portal, there's a very broad array of customers coming in to do different things. And one of the things we want to do is really focus on some of our most fragile members of society. And so when we think about our health and human services area, and one of our journey mappings was like single mother, working part-time, struggling to get by, needs help with women, infant children. Current process is she goes through this long application process, she gets all done, and then there's SNAP or other benefits that she's probably eligible for, but today that's a completely new mountain of bureaucracy to climb. And if we can make that process easier by saying something like, you've completed this application, we can have some artificial intelligence or machine learning running in the background and say, we see from your data that you're likely eligible for other programs. Would you like to transfer your data to those? And then, a click of a button can consent. We can automatically transfer the data. We can make it so much easier and better for that person to get through the process.
Mm-hmm. It strikes me that as we're talking that some of the uphill battle for us as champions of this is the marketing and selling to the agencies, as you're saying. We still have silos, and those agencies are so passionate and really so strongly in their mission that it's sometimes hard for us to shift their thinking around. But the citizen does business in so many ways with our states. They're not just about your program, they're about 6 other. And I don't know the statistics of how many of our citizens touch multiple. I mean, you probably know a lot of government services, but we get driver's license, we have to do our vehicle tags, we have to pay for hunting and fishing licenses, or not. And so that's not an insignificant number of services. So we have to put our strategist hat on and our communicator and marketing hats to help our agencies understand the benefits of this, the shifting their thinking. And it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So we did not get funded. Our funding did not include anything specific for promotion. And so we're going to have to do organic marketing or guerrilla marketing, if you've heard that term, or we're going to have to reach out to the constituents that we have through the services that they use. It was funny, though. I was driving down the freeway. I-15 is the main north-south artery in Utah. And there's this big freeway advertisement board for utah.gov. And I was like, who bought that? Who put that there? And, it turns out there's an agency pushing a specific promotion that they put up the money and did the promotion. So we do hope that we can get some of that going, even if it's not centralized, maybe some of the bigger programs that'll be cost effective for them to put some money into helping to promote it for us.
Yeah, we only have limited agencies, to your point, that can actually market, if you will. Maybe a tourism from our Department of Development kind of side could talk about camping or fishing license or things like that you can get online. But yeah, we don't have that. I don't have that ability to market those services traditionally.
Let's jump to the calls to action that are actually in the white paper. If you haven't had a chance to read it, these are the 6 areas that came out of interviews from CIOs, research, the NASCIO tagline, a lot of the data that we have, the project award solutions, and these are really what we settled on. And interestingly, they're not very different than what was said in 2001, and we'll chart on that in just a minute. One thing that strikes me is just to talk about similar to what I'm saying, the CIO, our role in this, in terms of these actions and implementing these. At the end of the day, are not about technology. It's about setting a vision and engaging the stakeholders and building a roadmap and focusing on the building blocks. Any thoughts on that?
So I think, a lot of these things are certainly things that we're trying to accomplish in Ohio with these calls to action, create an enterprise vision and strategic roadmap. I meet with we have 26 cabinet agencies, all of them have a CIO. So we meet every 6 weeks and kind of talk about this is the direction, these are the things that we're trying to accomplish with you. I meet weekly with a subset of that group. We review our roadmaps with them so they understand, where we're going with the Innovate Ohio platform. What are the new things that are going to be available to them to take advantage to support their services and the things that they want to do for Ohioans. So definitely these are on point, engaging our stakeholders. We try to do that on a consistent basis. We just had what we called IOP Day. So we invited everybody in from the agencies to come in and ask our team questions, hear from our team specifically about progress on things, and review our roadmaps and talk more about OHID and the different services that are available and the self-service that we're going to provide. So, yeah.
These really resonate with me as well. I think with regard to the stakeholder buy-in, it's such a complex organizational structure that we have in state government that we have to try to get that. And we're addressing that in 2 ways. One is this is really a governor's office initiative. It's not an IT initiative. And I think that the minute if it ever became an IT initiative, I think we would be lost, because as long as it's a governor's office initiative, then the agency directors are really on board with that.
It's usually helpful.
Yeah. Yes, it's very helpful.
It is very helpful.
And we also have we call it our Big Vision Strategy Team that involves the executive directors from most of our big agencies and the agencies who do a lot of customer engagement. So that has been really helpful. We're trying to help them focus on their business problems that they have. I'd like to call out the privacy piece of this. So as we started talking with people about a citizen portal, privacy came to the fore very quickly. And I remember one of the senior staff members in the governor's office saying, now wait a minute, if I get pulled over by a policeman for speeding, are they going to call me out on books I have overdue at the state library? Or, and it was like, well, okay, first of all, we can't really do that right now. But more than that, there is this sense of sort of a fear. At least in Utah, there's a lot of people are very conservative. And they fear the big brother sort of government, and so what we were really trying to do to address or mitigate that concern is to build from the ground up privacy into our citizen portal. And specifically, we want to have for every record set that where we track data or the state gathers some sort of data, for every record set through the citizen portal, we want to be able to provide visibility into what is the data that we track, what is the statutory authority for keeping that data, and then what are the rules around retention, with whom can we share that data, under what circumstances, for example, aggregate level or de-identified data, under what circumstances, how long do we keep the data, when do we delete it, et cetera. And the citizen portal then becomes a platform to to push out more data privacy visibility than we've ever really done before as a state. And hopefully that gives citizens a sense of comfort. My guess is that if you're walking around and in your wallet or purse you have a driver's license, you probably know that the state knows that you have a driver's license, right? You don't really think about that. But during COVID, and this wasn't even done by us, but we had this program where as people crossed the line driving in the freeway into the state, they got a text telling them about rules around COVID, and people just freaked out about that. And they're like, oh my gosh, the state is tracking me. And actually the state wasn't tracking them, but so we do want to be very careful around data privacy, make sure our citizens' data is absolutely secure, and that we're managing it as good stewards.
This is the chart that compares and contrasts what we said in 2001 compared to 2023. Again, 22 years later, which is a long time. There were really 4 key tenets in the 2001 study, and I won't read all of this to you, but they do map pretty well to our calls to action in 2023. And as I was reading the 2001 study, it was very eerie in a good way, because Stuart, but it was very visionary, I guess is another way to say it, extremely visionary to where we are today and some progress that we have made across the states, but also showed we still have a ways to go. And I can see doing some pockets of digital services, but not in a coordinated, strategic way, and certainly not in an enterprise way. We're calling it not open a little more yet. It's part of our vision. One thing I would like to ask you guys, any particular lessons learned, things you wish you'd done differently, knowing you've seen some of this, but knowing where you are, anything you can do.
Well, let me jump in. So there's a couple things on here and looking at the history that I thought we should mention. One is we have a study from the University of Utah that says for every transaction that we can move from in-person on-premise to digitally delivered, we save about $13 per transaction. And last week through all of our digital services, we did something like 69 million transactions. Okay, so if we can take 69 million transactions to 70, 80, 100 million transactions and replace a lot of the in-person transactions. Now we have some people who don't want to interact with the government digitally, we know that, right? But if we can move a lot of those transactions to digital, then we can save the state a lot of money. And that is very persuasive to the legislators controlling the pocketbook. And most importantly, if someone doesn't have to get in their car and drive down to the DMV and wait in a long line, and we can save our citizens time and money, then the far bigger savings is on the side of the citizens as we provide them better service. So I think what we're trying to do is focus on the real problems, the real pain points. We have roughly a million households in the state of Utah. We want to save every household at least an hour per year. There's 1 million hours we can save our state. And when you think about the cumulative effect of those savings, it becomes a pretty compelling investment and ROI for the state. And so I hope that we can do that. One thing I would do a little bit differently, just to answer that quickly, is I think we needed to focus a little bit earlier on the privacy and the fear, the big state fear, let me call it that. And I think if we can mitigate those fears, people really embrace the technology.
So I'm going to date myself, but that's fine. I was at DAS in 2001 when we kind of started down this path, and one of our initial projects was our Ohio Business Gateway. So the idea that if you're a business, you're coming to the OBG to file your business taxes and other interactions you may have to have with other state agencies, Department of Taxation, Bureau of Workers' Compensation, all of that could be accomplished in the Ohio Business Gateway. And we kind of took off from there. I would say that was one of our first major implementations. So I've seen a lot of evolution. I think part of some of the challenges, kind of echoing what Alan said, is, we really didn't have our cyber and privacy hats on really at that point in time, like we do today. And that was just kind of evolving those practices. And then also, I kind of mentioned funding a little bit earlier. I think some of the funding sources, like I mentioned, central IT is usually able to secure capital funding, but at the agency level, it's a little bit more of a challenge. So how can we ensure that, we're building a platform, but our agencies are able to, leverage that technology and join us? And, so we're working on capital budget proposals right now. So I'm trying to look at some of those opportunities to collaborate more with the agencies.
Savings as you're implementing more services and you're moving things online. Are you measuring that? And the savings, I assume, has to come from closing offices and reducing employee headcount or less paper. Perhaps this would be tracking that.
Not really. Yeah. Yeah. Can we demonstrate the ROI? It's pretty hard, but let me say this. So we currently have 76% of our vehicle registration renewals are done online in our state, which is a pretty high percentage. And in the old days, I remember when it's time to renew your registration, you go down to DMV, you wait in a long line, you get a number, right? You sit in these chairs, there's no line there now. You go down and there's no line because 76% of your fellow citizens are all doing it online. And so people feel that, and we're a state that's growing in terms of population, and despite the significant growth since this program was rolled out, the state has not built another DMV office. Now, we built one new one, we transferred, but bottom line is, we're not having to invest in the brick and mortar business nearly to the extent that we had to before, and so they do see those savings. And I think it's really tough to tie every single transaction to a dollar amount. It's hard to do that, but it is significant as we continue to grow as a state, and we're looking at, well, how are we going to serve this larger and larger population? We're not getting way more state employees to do it. We have to find ways to be more efficient in doing those transactions. So that's really what we're looking at.
Right. I think we looked at it from our BMV perspective more on time saved. So I don't remember the hours that they came up with, but they focused more on how much time was saved by folks were able to, I could renew my tags at 10 o'clock last night instead of having to go in, kind of thing. And to your point, we're not building more BMVs around the state or deputy registrars to take in that business. There aren't as many lines. So it's more of a time savings approach.
And another story, and sorry, I am totally not stuck on liquor. I'm really not. But we had our Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services, the head of our Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services just 2 months ago held a press conference, literally a press conference, and I was there, and it was so we have a process to hold an alcohol server's permit, a restaurant or something like that. You have to get a permit, and those permits are scarce, and it's been a painful process managing those. It's been a completely paper-based process up till now. And our executive director of DABS, her name is Tiffany, she had next to her a big stack of boxes, file boxes, to make the point. She turned to this and said, see these boxes? This is the old process. The new process, we've moved online. And the crowd broke out in applause, right? And we had stories, they're anecdotal, but they're typical of restaurants driving all the way from southern Utah, from St. George, 4 hours up to Salt Lake to make sure they could turn in their paperwork and it was all right. And it was like, really, in 2023? That's how you have to do your business? Like, that's not good. And with this move, there is tremendous satisfaction around being able to just take care of that all online. And it is saving people significant time and money.
Yeah, I think, I was going to say, similarly, I think the liquor people do all the things the same way. But, I think the pandemic also uncovered some things where people thought they were providing a digital service. Well, that meant the form was a PDF online, but I had to print it out and fill it out, and I'd drive to Columbus to give it to somebody who wasn't able to come into the office. So they too had like boxes of liquor titling type things. So they're going through a modernization. And, some of our other license types, I think one of them specifically was realtors. And, the realtors felt more comfortable because it was a printed out. They could mail it in, but, they had more confidence if they could come into, our Rife Tower downtown and drop it off to someone. So, making sure everybody knows what we actually mean by digital service. Yes.
When I look at the 2001 list, I think it's the citizen-centric regional government, enterprise government advocating to stakeholders. I think they create a promotional agenda, gets back to the marketing and dollars to the marketing, which I see more still struggle with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to think about that more, don't we?
Right.
Yeah, I have a great example of that. So one of the things in the statute that our legislature passed that's telling us to do the citizen portal, they listed some specific things they want on the digital portal. And one of them is vital records, right? Birth certificates. So we go out and talk to the vital records folks, and they're like, well, our funding model is we charge for the paper birth certificates. Mm-hmm. And if you put this online and make it digital, you're undercutting our revenue stream. So we're not sure we want to do this. Now, that's a really bad reason to not innovate, but we do need to meet that concern. They do need to be funded. So if we're going to change the business model, how are we going to change their funding stream so that they can deliver digital things via the citizen portal and they can still have a way to fund their agency, right?
Right. Right.
But for this to be successful, that's what CIOs often find ourselves in that role of, okay, you presented a problem, a barrier to a really good solution. How do I pull together the right people to lead agency, break down that particular challenge? Exactly. I find myself in that role more often than not.
Agree. Yeah. Like the realtor example I gave, their concern was, well, we haven't done that because we would have to raise the fee. And so that is usually very unpopular to increase the license fee, cosmetology, whatever it is, that's going to be unpopular. So how do we reduce that barrier to entry on some of these things?
I'm also curious, when you're working with new agencies trying to bring them along, are you able to use testimonials from both agencies and citizens? To give an agency example of your solve some savings and there's some benefits we've been able to deliver. Are your agencies open to that sort of strategy of, okay, I hear what you're saying and I like what you're saying about it. And then citizens, I think it can be powerful too.
Yeah, we have, so our CIOs, some of them are very helpful in that space, kind of champions for some of our things and been able to, and so I have a technology advisory council, so I've got 5 agency CIOs that I meet with weekly with my leadership team, and then they have subgroups of CIOs that they meet with between our engagements, and they're able to kind of carry that message and help us in that way.
One observation I have about state government is that nobody wants to be first and nobody wants to be last. So if we can get the ball rolling and get some momentum, there's a lot of times we can get other agencies to really buy in.
Right.
Any last parting thoughts of this discussion about what we're doing, what the challenges are, what are some great ways to solve some of those? I think we agree that there's still road to travel on this journey for probably most of the states. Any last thoughts?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I mean, I would just, think we've had of course, we didn't do this by ourselves. In addition to working with our Ohioans and our agencies, we have great vendor partners that have helped us in this space. So we truly appreciate that. And we do appreciate it when you come to the table with some of those ideas and some of those opportunities that we may not be aware of or have realized. We also work with our peers in other states. And, I've mentioned in an earlier panel, I look at the NASCIO library, I'm like, ooh, somebody did this and who did that and who was their partner. So we do appreciate all of that.
Yeah, totally. And just building on that, I think this is a journey. I don't think this is it's like a project that's going to end in January 1st, 2025. I think we're going to keep building and improving and working this over time and getting it better and better. We have some agencies, it's funny, you kind of mentioned this, who their version of digital government is they have a website and they put a PDF form on it so someone can download, fill it out, take it in and turn it in or mail it in. And then what do we do with it on our side, right? We take it, we scan it back in, and it's like, that's not the digital government service that we really want to deliver. Maybe better than what was there in the past, but hey, we can do better than that now. And if we can, if we can, it's a marathon of marginal changes where we want to address problems. Coming back to the customer experience thing, I have another quick example I wanted to give. We had, through our feedback mechanism that we have, we were getting feedback from this website. It was for our driver's license. People can go in and make an appointment so they don't have to stand in line, right? And part of the process has a CAPTCHA box. You're probably all familiar with those. You're supposed to prove you're not a robot, right? So you click on all the squares with the crosswalk, except for it always proves I am a robot because I can never get the boxes right. But we were going through, we got this feedback and people were saying we can't get past the CAPTCHA. And we're seeing complaints, we're seeing low satisfaction scores. And our Department of Motor Vehicles first went to a vendor and said, hey, it looks like there's a problem with the CAPTCHA. And they said, no, everything's working fine. But then the data kept showing there's a real problem with this CAPTCHA. High complaints, low customer satisfaction. And they went back to a vendor, and the vendor, with some further investigation, said, oh, actually, there is a bug with the CAPTCHA. And you literally could not get past the CAPTCHA. And so they were able to fix it, and we could see in the data customer satisfaction went up, complaints went down. And it didn't take money to solve that. It just took being able to have visibility into it, seeing it, working together with a partner, and ultimately we improve the customer experience that they can have. And so we hope, not necessarily fixing a bug like that, but we hope to find all over the state government hundreds of different processes, 1,800 different services we have online now. We want every one of those to be better, easier, quicker to do for our citizens. So, if someone moves into the state from out of state, we want them to feel like, wow, this state, they got it together. They really make it easy to do business with the state. And we hope that by doing that, we can really help our citizens out.
We often, and in our CIO panels earlier today, we often get the question from the facilitator, from you guys, how do you want us to engage, what can we do as vendor partners? And I just wanted to kind of go back to this and say, again, the technology, your solutions and your technology are mostly the easy part.
Yeah.
Great point.
This has been great. Thank
Yeah.
you for joining me and for your thoughts and commentary and sharing what great things you're doing in your state.
Thank you, Stephanie. So appreciate it.
Grab this.
Okay. Thank you, Katrina and Alan. Really appreciate that conversation. Okay, a couple of things. As I said, if you're meeting or attending the premiere reception, remember to meet at 5:30 at the Grant Street entrance. This concludes our programming for today. However, if you are a former state CIO, please make your way to the stage for your group photo. Have a great evening, be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you.
It's time to change the conversation about cloud. CIOs are preparing for the future and shifting to what matters for citizens: security, quick outcomes, digital government. 88% of state CIO respondents are expediting cloud adoption across programs, operations, and service delivery. What's the most important benefit of cloud computing? 74% of state CIOs say it's security. States are starting to manage the complexity of cloud. 74% of respondents agree their organization can now effectively manage its technology infrastructure as an elastic variable cost base using OpEx budgets. The biggest workforce concerns, according to 88% of organizations, are in training and bridging the skills gap. That shows the urgency for comprehensive talent development strategies. The future is here, and a new future will be here tomorrow. State CIOs are leading the way. Let's change the conversation together.